Got the old riding lawn tractor here. Every spring we're hooking the tiller up, and it always seems to be a big chore to do, so every year we try to make it a little better job. So as we come in from the back here, we just simply got these two connections here, and that's for raising and lowering the whole tiller in the back. And then on the bottom, we've got our two connections down in there. Those are our pivot points. There's one there, and there's one down in there, and those seem to be extremely difficult when we were trying to put this thing together. So what I ended up doing is I made some captive nuts on there, so then you don't need to reach in there with two arms and two wrenches and try and take this thing apart. That was last year's improvement. So this year, what it is we've got this pin, and it's got a cam on there. The pin goes in, and then you're supposed to turn it clockwise until it creates tension for the drive belts on the pulleys on the back side of that plate there. There's just a pin in the bottom, and that's what kind of lines it up. So what I've done is, you could see is I've got the ratchet strap on there, because without that ratchet strap, that pin would pop out and your drive would become disconnected. So what I did was I put that ratchet strap on there to keep the tension on it. That pin that we have on the bottom there, I want to cut this bolt off, and I want to weld this in place of that pin, and then this nut, drive it up from the bottom and possibly drill a hole through there with like a locking pin, and then that would keep the tension for the drive belts down and replace this cam right in here. Now this piece, this needs to be secure as well, so I have a couple different ideas on what to do in having a bolt come through there and hold this tight that way. Once it's driven down and tightened up from the bottom, then we tighten it there, and then those two locations will keep this drive tight and secure, so that when you're doing all your work, it's not going to come apart. We've got the tiller disconnected from the tractor there. Here's going to be our bolt. It slides in there, and the nut's going to come off the other side. Here's the drive that that pin currently goes into. So we'll be taking this bolt and welding that where that pin is. So we'll have to remove our drive shifts here and remove our pump off of the plate, and then we'll cut that off, weld the bolt on, and then that fixes that part. Here we've got all the hardware on the bench here, and I'll explain some of the stuff that we've done. First thing we had to do was remove this shiv. Doesn't want to come off good, so what we did was we found a center line across there. Then we measure. Then we use a center punch, pilot hole, drill that out to 3/8, and then we weld these 3/8 nuts on there. Now with this style puller on there, you thread those nuts in there, use this puller to push off the shaft, you can pull that off. In my opinion, it's pretty difficult to get off because both of these are fastened together. If you look on this side here, so they're both fastened together in one big unit here, and it's pretty hard to get a puller on there. There's limited space on this side here. You can't really pull off the center parts here, so that worked out well. The whole purpose behind this is this rod right here. So this rod has like a cam in there, if you can see that, and it has this little T-pin, and what happens is, as you can see here, is the pin keeps breaking all the time, and then it doesn't want to stay locked. And this design too is just a friction thing. You just turn it until the cam locks, and then it's supposed to stay in place, but it doesn't, because the Roto-tiller and the machine running and bouncing around, and you know, if you run into some rocks or something in the ground or something like that, it's going to be enough shock that it knocks this out of alignment and knocks it out of place, and then you lose your drive. This is where this is supposed to go in. It'll line up, and that T slot is what holds it as you turn this. That pin in behind there is up against the back plate here. Now ordinarily that goes all the way through, but what happened was I just welded a 1/2 inch nut on this side where that hole was. So now the plan is we just simply take a 1/2 inch bolt and we're going to put it in there, same as the other one, and we're going to thread it out the other side. So the idea is we're probably going to need a larger washer here as well on this end, because the plan is when that plate goes on there and this finds itself where it needs to be, then we'll just simply tighten that bolt and that'll hold that on there. So the second part of the system here is, before all there was just a little stub, and that little stub, this is just like a little pin, just locates this in the back of the tractor there. So the locator pin holds it on the bottom, and then the cam lock is supposed to tighten it on the top, and then it's also supposed to drive it down with that cam, so that tightens your drive belts that are coming off of this pulley, which will be attached to the pump on this, and the other side of the belts are going on that. So what I've done is I just took this 3/4 inch bolt, cut the head off, welded this on, same as that stud, and now I have this nut on here. Now when I set that, what I can do is I can drill a hole all the way through, and then I just put a cotter pin in there, and that'll lock it and hold it into place. So this is what it's supposed to look like when it's done. And as it stands right now, this right here is supposed to slide up and down. There's your slop in there. Our pin in the bottom will be down in the bottom there, and then we'll put our nut on. Just get that started. And then what we'll do is we'll line this up, and we'll just get this bolt in here loose, right? The shivs will be on the back side of this and the pump on this side. And then what'll happen is we'll tighten that down on the bottom to get our tension on them belts. Once we've done that, we can mark it, and then we can drill a hole into the stud here. And then once we put a cotter pin in there, then it should be good. We set it up, we installed it, and we tightened up the belts until we had some tension on them. We basically set our nut on there. I just started the hole so we knew where it was. And then we took it out, drilled that hole through. We drilled that hole to 3/16. Once we got the hole lined up there, you could, in theory, give it one more turn. Either way, gives you a little bit more play to get your pin in there. If it's dead on, it's going to be loose in there, but you give it one more turn either way, and then that's what's going to make that hole snug for your pin in here. And then of course this is lined up with the back of the tractor, so it'll go straight in, straight out. Here we are with the final installation. What we've done is we've tightened the bottom down to get it where we want it, and then we tighten that top bolt up there. So we'll be using the deep socket to adjust it either up or down. Okay, so right now that's in the center. If we want to take that pin out, you can see the pin's in the center of the hole. So we could go 1/2 revolution to make it tighter or to make it looser. Basically our clearance or our play in belt tension. One more tighter or looser, and then this pin will go in tight instead of loose the way it is now. And if you notice, we got a little bit of clearance here, so even one more revolution, this probably still wouldn't touch the bottom of the plate here. So that's kind of our gauge, our wiggle room. You always want to have some clearance with your parts when you're installing stuff. One nut and a pin on the bottom, and one bolt up there. Real quick and easy to hook on the pump for the tiller.